Welcome to this episode of Demand Drivers. I'm Mike Sandys from Oddball Marketing.
I'm Kristen Hancock from Fontaine Swatch.
And I'm Christopher Melotti from Melotti Media.
In this episode, we're going to talk about AI and the big question, to use or not to use in marketing. This is a very contentious one. I think from my point of view, if you look at AI in marketing, if you're not using it already, then you are way behind. It's that serious and it's that impactful. And if you're not using it, it's not the case that you're not using it. You probably just don't realize that you're not using it or that you are using it because it is pretty much everywhere now, and pretty much most software applications now have some sort of form of AI now being integrated.
Yep.
But I guess the question is, from an AI point of view and from a marketing aspect, how much do we lean into it? Is this going to take over the world? Is that it for us in terms of marketing?
Is it going to take over the world? Well, I think the answer's already been given for that. It certainly is. But to me, it feels like it was probably not even a couple of months ago when we were doing a podcast on AI and is it coming and who's going to use it. So, and we're already now thinking, actually, we've got to do another podcast because it has moved so quickly. And that's what we're all feeling, all experiencing. It just keeps evolving, gets stronger. You're feeling it touch your business even more. And we need to keep talking about it. The way that we are looking at it within Fontaine Swatch is we don't classify it as just AI. We think about, okay, it's technology, but it's a fast-moving technology. Like we would look at integrating any other aspect of technology into our business, we will look at AI into our business. And there's lots of different opportunities out there, and there's lots of different software. I don't know whether you want to start talking about different software, or are we just going to stay with...
Oh, God,
where do you want to start, Chris?
Look,
it is such a huge
For me, Mike,
topic.
I agree with you. Like, I just think, like you said, there's going to be a world, it's already here, where it's like, you're with AI or you're nothing. It's just the truth. Yeah. It's like any business where 10 years ago you have businesses with a website and nothing, right? You have businesses that use computers or nothing, right? And that's what it is.
Good. Yeah. We should. My understanding is we should look at the subtlety difference, because there's process-driven AI, which works more on decision trees and decision matrix. Which, if we follow, if you're doing a process within your business and it's the same process repeated, and you are giving the AI a decision tree, that's one thing. But what a lot of people are now talking about and labeling the AI is the generative AI, which are predominantly they're language-based systems, or they're...
Creative, aren't they?
Creative systems like Mid-Journeys of the world, where they're actually using a huge database to say, based on something that's gone before, this is the most likely response.
This is an interesting one, by the way, too. So for anyone who's maybe not quite convinced as to whether AI is really at that stage where we can use it and implement it from a marketing point of view.
Stats.
I literally just went into ChatGPT last night and just put in there, and I asked ChatGPT, should I use AI in my marketing?
Okay,
and sure enough, it says the decision to use AI in marketing depends on various factors, including your business goals, target audience, budget, and the nature of your marketing activities. Here are some considerations to help you decide whether AI is a good fit for your marketing strategy.
Right,
and it lists 10 key components here around the use of it in data analysis and insights.
Don't give us all 10. Which ones are...
Look at Kristen.
You can use AI to automate, which is kind of interesting.
Well, that's its main service, right? But nevertheless, important.
Although that's the process-driven AI, not the generative stuff.
Yeah, the previous use of AI in particular was chatbots and virtual assistants as such. And that went through a big wave a few years ago. Targeted advertising. Interestingly, it says here in point number 5 that it can be used for ethical considerations.
So
that's
okay.
See,
that the AI can.
But I've been
to
okay. So the reason why this topic exhausts me is because I'm getting involved in it as much as possible. I'm going to every single conference, every single talk, right? And it's hearing this huge wave of stuff. One of the things, speaking of that topic, was that they said one of the biggest roles that will come out of this is an AI ethicity, was something along those lines, where it's going to be people are going to be hired to be able to discern the ethics of AI. Was one of the biggest roles that that I was hearing lately. So it's interesting that it says, we can do that as well. Because
it certainly says that it's a consideration. And I think that is definitely something we do need to look at, is the ethical impact of using AI. And I don't know if it's so much about the ethics of using AI, but what AI is telling us and what's coming back as a result. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge around AI at the moment, because it is still developing, and it's like how much trust can you put in what AI is creating for you?
Okay, so a perfect example of how much it's developing, you put that same question into ChatGPT and it'll give you a different answer. Okay, so that is one of the things with ChatGPT. It never gives you the same answer.
Yep.
It'll give you a different one. It also, as we all know, makes shit up.
Oh, they call hallucinating. Yeah.
I had one of the best examples I heard was I was in a networking event, and one of the participants in the round table said, "Look, I thought we thought we'd get ahead of the curve. We were looking to hire somebody. So what we did, we put into ChatGPT this is the perfect candidate. So this is what we want to see from our job description. These are all the key skills we want from the candidate, and then." We had 200 applicants, and we put the 200 applicants' CVs in, right? To see which one they would pick. And they came back with John Smith. ChatGPT came back with John Smith and went, you should choose John Smith because of these reasons. And they said, fantastic. Can you show us John Smith's CV so that we can check it? And ChatGPT said, no, I made them up.
Yeah, made up. So it looked at all those candidates, and instead of it,
here is the ideal candidate. Yeah.
But I mean, I've had this too, where I was training my team on ChatGPT. Last November we were straight on it. Like, I have to put my hand up. It's not that we put our heads in the sand, especially being copywriters, right? Is we jumped on it straight away in November, and I've been training my team the whole time. And what we have been looking at is examples as a team. And one day I remember I put in a press release. So I had written the press release for a client, and they'd won this award. So I put the press release in. So I wrote it myself, got it approved. Then I said, let's just play with this. Let's just try. We put in the client's brief into ChatGPT, and we said, write the press release like I had. And it came up with, I was like, wow, this is as good as I wrote it, right? But then we didn't realize that it had made up a CEO. The CEO had made up all this stuff. So and I went, wow, it went and found their CEO and made up that thing.
No.
It said like Sally Smithella or something like that, and I looked, and there was no Sally. The CEO was a male, and I was like, and I said to my team, at this point, do you see why we can't just trust it? Now I'm not anti-AI, because I'm trying to use it and trying to research how to use it, but I think the answer to this is yes, you need to use it in your marketing, but you have to put frameworks and guidelines around it, because imagine if I had
imagine if you just sent it.
Imagine you just sent it. Now, I would never, like I said to my team, we can never just send this. But imagine if I have, right? And then the client would have been like, oh, this is great. Oh, who's Sally? And then I would have had to go, we made her up. Or we put it into ChatGPT, and that's so embarrassing. So that's really the point of this: is yes, you have to use it, but you have to pick your battles, right?
I think that's something that's been quite interesting for us, is that when we look at and a lot of the applications and software tools that we're using have AI, and a little bit mixed results.
It's more process-driven AI, I imagine.
No, there's a mix. So we have it from an analysis point of view and optimization. So it helps to iterate and that's kind of a combination of AI and machine learning. So it's not just as simple as just saying, okay, it's just one particular technology, but that's where it's really powerful. Whereas, and that's where we see, I suppose, the best use for us at the moment is that we would do the strategy side of things. We still handle that significantly, because if you think about marketing and how big the marketing sphere is and what we can do, right? Like it's infinite.
Yes.
And so when you kind of get the different AI tools involved to try and make sense of all of this stuff, it's very difficult for it, because it's got this endless sort of scope of what it can do.
And not all of it's good.
That's exactly right. So we bring the strategy element into it to really narrow it down quite quickly into a core area we want it to focus on, and then we can then use that the AI and machine learning side of things to optimize within the parameters of what we've set to take all the guesswork out of it there, get a bit more accurate, and then at least firing in the right direction. And then it can work out within that what's the most optimum route in terms of getting results for clients.
Well, we're building upon that. What our team has called it, and I've been asked to present next year about this, is what we call the AI human sandwich. And so what we've done is we've said you need there's nothing new particularly, but it's that you need a powerful prompter right? Someone from a human background.
Yep.
And
A prompt engineer.
But it's not. I think we need to. It's not just I found a prompt and I'm going to put it in right. I think the prompt engineer has to be more advanced than that. I think you need to be a real strategic brain. Right, because everyone can find prompts on the internet and go, do this with this parameters. But what I think is the problem is, the way I explain it to my team is, AI is like having a cannon, right? A powerful cannon, and you've got a target. But if your prompt engineer strategist is firing at the cannon in the completely wrong direction, which I've shared with this before, is you are going to fire that missile in the completely wrong direction. And AI wasn't to blame for that because it did what you asked it to do, but in the wrong direction. So I always say you need a real strategic brain that's human to start with, then AI, then a human
and
to
I think
check
that's,
it.
That's the key.
And that's the sandwich, right? Because
and
it's
so
everything.
I think you opened, one of you opened it up with, is it going to kill marketing? And it's, I think the human aspect isn't going to go away, particularly in our space, which is the branding, because at the moment you can get AI to generate creative imagery, for example, or
and
to
wording,
create a logo
anything.
or wording, but you still need the expert that sits on the other side of that and says whether that is actually really compelling,
the example I have.
coming out the other side. So otherwise you'll just end up with something that AI just thinks is fine, but as a branding expert, that isn't going to resonate with any of the audience, and that's not going to create an emotional connection. Now we've actually looked at a couple of the different, like more recent AIs, like we've looked at Midjourney.
DALL-E.
We've looked at DALL-E, and so we pushed down Midjourney quite a lot, and we found that Midjourney for our business and our clients and working within a corporate branding environment, actually we found it really, really difficult to get it to work for our business, and our perspective was that a majority of that was due to the database that it was using, because most users on Midjourney, when you look through what's being posted on there and what it's being designed, it's futuristic, it's fantasy, it's artistry, etc. So when you then try and build that into a corporate environment and you feed it corporate prompts, or we've even fed it like brand library imagery and said recreate this similar to, it's so far away from where it needs to be. But if you had a futuristic or a fantasy style brand and said, can you create this type of imagery, it just
on the money.
On the money.
And look,
the one that excites us most actually is the likes of Firefly, because that's been driven by Adobe. And Adobe, if you think about it, Adobe has access to a massive wealth of imagery within its database. It also has access to a lot of videographers and photographers, because that's where they upload their
stuff too.
So we actually think that Firefly for agencies like ours could be a really strong, and we're just learning how to prompt that now, but it's looking really exciting. Yeah.
I think that's what's happening, is everyone is learning right now, and it's like Mike, you said, it's moving so fast. The year of the word by HarperCollins was AI this year, and because it's just everything and it's in everything. But I think what you said, Kristen, was like the example I had was someone asked me to do a brochure recently for a networking company, and that what they gave me is they said, here's ChatGPT. I looked up word of mouth, right? And they said, here's word of mouth. I love what the ChatGPT has done, right? Now I read it. It was great stuff from word of mouth, but the problem was that had nothing to do with what he actually needed from me. He needed it to be a camaraderie, networking atmosphere angle, and so that's what I mean by that AI sandwich is if you fire in the wrong direction, and that's what Kristen reiterating is the marketing.
I think the key thing there is the quality control.
Yes,
and knowing that what you're getting out of it is good, and actually, what you're actually properly looking for. I think that's the danger with it, is that you get too many people who are novices, who are trying to get it to do all of that, and they don't know what they're getting back is actually good or not good. And so from an expert point of view, it can be a very powerful tool that really makes our life a lot easier to generate a whole lot of creative very quickly. And then we can work with that to pick out the best ones that we from a experience point of view, which one's going to get the best result. I think in long term, the more AI gets hooked into the actual systems, though, which we're seeing this a lot in a lot of the marketing channels, whether you're looking at sort of Meta or Google, they're incorporating that in. AI is going to be extremely powerful, and in the long term, it will dominate, if not be the only way of doing things going forward, because it has the ability to learn and get that feedback. And as it does that, it may or may not know which is the best at the time when it starts. But it'll work it out pretty bloody quickly, and a lot faster than we can work it out.
I don't think we can predict where it's going to go, but if you're not embracing it, then
100%.
you're already behind the curve. You've got to find a way to embrace it into your business, and it's a lot easier to learn iterations of it than it is to disregard it and not use it for the next few years and then try and step into it. As easy as they make them. I'm sure they'll make it easy to use, but still, the more you just go with the iterations, it's like everything really. If you go with the iterations, embrace the technology, you'll find that you become more differentiated within your market space, and you're probably more effective, I would say.
Yep. So that's the answer, right? Is the answer is yes, you have to embrace it. Take your time to do your research. I think integrate it in a natural way. Like that's I'm just thinking from my experience is we didn't just go, oh, turn it on. We had a look at it, experimented with it, try different things, be open to more platforms, and like, you know, it's not just ChatGPT. Everyone just thinks ChatGPT, but there's hundreds of platforms.
Lots
and it's I think it's really checking what works well with your business and your marketing, your customers, all of those kind of things is really important. Just the caveat is just be careful, because again, like we were writing a medical blog recently, an article, and we love it for ChatGPT. It's great for research, right? So we did it, but then my team went, oh, let's see what it actually writes. So we said, write the article, and then what ended up happening was it took 30 seconds to generate, and then 8 hours to fix, because what had happened was it had come up with so many wrong, like, inaccuracies in things, and it was an experiment that we were trying. But what we realized is imagine if someone didn't do the checking that we did,
and just spat
right?
it out.
Like in its research, it had differentiated two components, and then it merged it in the way that it wrote, and it was actually completely inaccurate. And we had to go back and check all of its references, which were made up, and all these kind of things. So I'm just saying this. I'm not saying that you don't use it, but it's like, if you don't have that, like, lucky that we had that ability to go, this is not right. We need to check it and verify it and recompose it. But if you didn't and you posted it on your website, which I have seen happen. I had someone that showed me an article on wine and cheese, and he was like, "Who cares? It's wine and cheese. What's the big deal?" He went to ChatGPT, put it on there, it spit it out. He put it on his website, and he didn't read it. And then halfway through it, it talked about how if your guests don't like wine and cheese, here's how to kick them out of your home. Here's a guide on how to kick them out of your home, and it was a prominent brand.
You telling me about that,
and I was like,
it's not good.
Oh my gosh, right? And he was like, oh, I didn't even check it, right? And so I think that's where, I know, you're like shaking your head, but like that's where I think we need to be really careful.
And don't have inflated expectations of where it is today.
Yep.
It's getting better, and it's getting better faster.
Ridiculous.
Like really quickly, but don't assume that it's going to be the make or break of your business right now, unless you're an AI consultant, and then you probably...
Well, yeah. Yes. So the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Look, I think you guys have summarized it pretty well there with all kind of like, is it a big part of, or should it be a big part of your marketing and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Should it be big just now? Still working on it. Should it be part of your marketing? Absolutely. If you're not embracing some sort of level of AI, you are missing out and making things a lot harder than it needs to necessarily be. So I think the key takeaway for everyone is that, yes, AI is huge. It's growing. It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and is a critical component in our marketing and achieving good results. So definitely if you haven't already, you must be looking out for it and seeing how you can embrace it within what you're doing.
Yeah, and have fun with it.
I was about to say, yeah, because it is fun. It is fun.
Cool. That's a wrap for this episode. Thanks for joining us on Demand Drivers. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you on the next episode.